I was working my ass off for like a 4% raise, and it was like not happening. My cousin just died from a stroke at 33. I leveraged a little harder on crypto than I should have, and ate a pretty fat loss. Engineering wasn't going to get me out of that hole. I got a great role at Rippling. It really did change everything for me.
This is a great basically place to start. Can you maybe like just share what you were doing, before joining the incubator?
I was in manufacturing engineering, which pretty means you're the jack of all trades for keeping the factory running, right? You talk to every department, you figure out what they need and what kind of engineering solutions they require in order to get product out the door. It can span a lot of things. I think I've made the best of it as I could. I got to work on like really interesting projects, even with like coding, even though like my background is mostly mechanical. Problem solving at its core, right? And I think selling is similar to that, where you find a solution for people and try to figure out if you guys can work together on it. Everything is trying about cutting costs, and like the amount of impact you can make out of that, and what like the direct benefit you get from it is like completely limited. I was working my ass off for like a 4% raise, and it was like not happening.
And I'm curious, what point did you start considering, sales?
Oh man, what point did I start considering? I think I've been considering it for like a long time now, maybe 4 years. But like the pay cut thing was like always like hard for me to hit. Like it was like that step backwards was hard for me to like mentally get over. Even in my situation, I got really lucky, right? Where I have like no matter what role I was taking, I was going to take a pay cut. So I figured I'd better like maximize my skills from whatever I'm going to learn. Even at other places, like looking around in the area, it's the same work, it's a pay cut, and you're still fighting for that 4% raise if you're lucky. Right. If the business doesn't go bad. And so, I figured, okay, I'll take a step back. I'll continue working my ass off, build some skills in sales, especially, and then go from there. Yeah. I mean, I think I was like reading your post, like, I think a couple years ago. It's like, okay, yeah, this looks good. I can do this probably, but I still didn't want to take that step back. The situation just kind of ended up where the place I was at was going to shut down. So I knew I needed to make a change, and then I need to just pick something and do it, right? My cousin just died from a stroke at 33. So like completely sudden, like unexpected. And I don't know, that really shook me up. I'm not proud to admit it, but I leveraged a little harder on crypto than I should have. And, ate a pretty fat loss. And like looking at my path, right? Engineering wasn't going to get me out of that hole.
What made you trust me, with your process, with your career, with your money?
I think it was a lot of things. I saw the post that you did on Sales Guy. I see that Sales Guy stuff really works because I've used some of his frames in like negotiations I've done in my current work. And that helped me see that I can probably work with you and use your material to get through, right? Because even like the free stuff you post on Twitter is like still like pretty good, right? Like you can definitely get through it with that. It's just you'll be banging your head against the wall for a while, right? If you want to really accelerate it, I'd say like working with you definitely helped, right? Making that whole image presentable because I think you saw my resume the first time. I was like, so dude, you'd be really good for an engineer, but for sales, this looks like hella sketch. And just like sales is a skill that I've always wanted to practice because it's so important. And the fact that I can actually do it in my career and that, the way that everything got reframed for me to land this makes me feel a lot better about it, especially after I landed it. Going into it, it was all the stuff before, right? The initial console and like trying to pick out the stuff that you have and just the material that you've already posted online. Because I dig through a lot of stuff before I made this decision. Like I saw Desperados out there. I'm like, that looks interesting, but I'm not sure I really want to do contract stacking. I don't know. I just felt like the way that it goes through it, making a whole trajectory change in your career, right? I think that's what convinced me about you, right? It's that, you might be taking a step back or two, right? But you're going to be moving like 3 or 4 steps forward. That's what sealed it for me.
What did you got essentially out of the incubator that maybe you couldn't have gotten on your own?
Definitely the one pagers and definitely the interview Bible. Okay, first of all, for the one pagers, no one does that. Everyone says that in the group, and it's true. Nobody does that. I think it really helps, leave a super positive impression on the hiring manager, which just makes the interview much easier. Obviously, the resume, the cover letter, those are really great. right? The one pagers, once you're actually in the interview and reframing your experience and then like, putting your best foot forward, like really like picking the sales skills out of you, like and how that experience transfers just helps you present a consistent picture of who you are to anyone that you're interviewing. And it's all true. So that's what makes it easy.
I think we really did like a good job at just like creating that story, and then we kept it consistent exactly with the interview collaterals that you mentioned, the one
Yes.
pagers.
It's a great script, but as soon as you get past the part where they start asking you questions on why you want to do sales, if you don't have that story locked in, that hot lead is over, like straight up. So, like without that, man, I don't know how I would have gotten through it.
Now you've mastered literally a process for interviews for the rest of your life. You realize that, right? Like any rough
Yes.
patch in your life, like you have it. Can you expand on that? Like just your experience kind of doing it. And I know it wasn't always easy. It took a few reps, but we got there.
I had 200 different contacts lines on the campaign, right? And I pretty much cold called every one of them. I found that in my situation, that firing the hiring manager who's actually hiring gave me the best results.
Were there a moment, where you thought like it wouldn't work? And what kept you going?
So in that
Because
first campaign, so we did mostly account manager and sales engineer. And basically, one of the hiring managers told me I had no foundational experience. So that was really rough, actually. It crushed me. Not awesome. I got pretty swamped with work at one point during the summer. And I think I was doing like 10 to 12-hour days, just trying to get through it. I know you say it only takes like an hour a day to like do it, but like by then I was so drained.
I'm curious, you mentioned like some of the guys from the group. There's obviously like a community component, to the incubator. It's not just you and me and the material. How do these people maybe like intervene in your process? And was it help? Did you find that, they were helpful? Like how did they support you if they did? I'm curious, like
Yeah.
on your perspective there.
Like I said, some of the stuff you were saying wasn't really getting through to me because I was just in like a bad spot. Talking to Dan, like the first time, he was like, "Yeah, I'm super willing to help. If you need to practice interviews, I'm here for you." All that good stuff. Double dialing was a big thing from him. And then back for the final campaign that I ran. That actually went through. Mayu like helped me a lot with the material. He helped me draft them like what they should look like. Because at that point, I didn't even know what I was doing. And then, just like trying to cram all that refinement in like the day before the interview was like also really good interview prep at the same time because they expect you to know the material, right? It's just that it's the one pager and it's like, hey, this is it and it looks great. And, we're just going to pass you. It's not perfect, but hiring manager knows it. And, as long as you can speak to it and, show some coachability with like, hey, I know like we talked about the role a little more, but looking at the territory plan, I think we need to increase the touch points.
What would be maybe some mistakes that you would avoid if you were to do it again? Or anything that you would do differently? It doesn't have to be a mistake, but would you do anything differently?
I think that timing is very important, right? Like the recruitment seasons that we talked about, like, and you mentioned all the time, like those leads are freaking on fire, right? You should be going so hard at that time. Like I was feeling pretty bad when I came back from China and I could see like recruitment season going, right? And so I'm on the second end of it in October, but at the same time, these leads are even hotter. There's just fewer of them. I'd say the key thing is get in the incubator, get all your materials ready before recruitment season starts. That's super key, I think.
What was the final result?
I got a great role at Rippling. I'm trying to figure out how I can maximize my earnings for the next year, whether it be overtime or crushing quota. I'd still really like to, make as much as I can out of it. And, I think the money is probably going to be a result of everything I'm going to learn from it. A lot of things, right? I mean, sales is still pretty new to me. I think some of the stuff I learned does transfer over. And I think it's a really great skill to learn just in general, which is why I'm like really happy to be in this. Like, it really did change everything for me. In engineering, I think I was just stuck.
And the other thing that I just wanted to add is you've joined a really formidable organization in the sense that this is a place where reps are notorious for hitting their quota predictably on demand. It's not like you're joining a startup that's figuring out how to sell their stuff. It's going to be like the industry knows your product. They know you're the best. You're one of the best. They're going to be lining up money, like check my money kind of situation. That's what all our job was about because we knew you wanted to go into sales. But I told you, like, nothing matters more than the growth and the margins of your employer. And I'm happy to say that you've kind of joined one of the best in class when it comes to those two things. And this is why I think, I mean, it's not I think. I know sales is going to be easy. I promise you. Might be like a bit daunting as a first sales experience, but when you're joining a big name, you have a nice logo on your back. Trust me, things happen way faster and easier than you think. You realize that you've been literally doing the job of a BDR. I really hope, I don't know if you did, but I really hope that you walked hiring managers through the process because I think, have you done that? They'd be like, who the hell is this guy? I want him on my team. Like if you were like this, it's not a coincidence that you booked this call. Actually, it's the result of a process I've been running. And
I think it really related to the last interview I did, right? The one where I landed it. It's like you obviously know what the job is. I didn't have to directly mention like the campaign that I did, but like, the fact that I could use this experience to speak to like the one pagers, like and how I would actually do the job, hit the ground running in like the first month. Like I think that really sealed it too.
if someone's on the fence right now, about joining the incubator, what would you tell them?
The reason that you're even looking at the incubator in the first place is that you need to make a change. I know I was going through with it. Deciding to actually make that change is what seals it. Like I said, I've been looking at this stuff for a really long time, and I'm really happy with the way that it worked out. If you're looking at it, you already know, right? It's just getting that to the level of awareness where you want to decide to do something about it, no matter what it is. It would have taken me much longer without Cocoon. Well, that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you again. We'll touch base again if you want, like this week or next one, if you want to continue the whole tactical stuff about, hitting the ground running or just talk through anything that you need.
I have a tendency to want to work things through myself before like asking, right? So I know what I tried first, but I will definitely reach out if anything. And thank you again, Cocoon.